the movement afoot in relationship to Christ is to try to put Christ in a camp with a lot of other religious leaders, you know, of the world. And this is the Jesus Seminar and all those people and shit. They want to homogenize Christ in such a way to where he's a non-threatening, you know, non-threatening kind of entity. You see what I mean? Non-threatening kind of situation where you could be a Christian as well as you could be anything else. And unfortunately, in Christianity, as gentlemanly as God is, I got to say, you know, God's a gentleman, because God doesn't come down here right now and appear in front of me and enslave me even more than I am. See, if God were to appear in front of you, you'd be enslaved to God for the rest of your life. You'd be standing on a street corner, you know, fucking yelling at the top of your lungs about God, because he appeared right in front of you and he enslaved you by doing that. And that's not, I mean, you know, I mean, it's okay. Obviously, it's okay because God's doing it. But I mean, if you were to take it in humanly terms, it could be rude to do in a sense, because instantaneously your life has changed. You know, your life, I mean, even though it's for the better and even though it's right and everything like that, it's a hell of an imposition, you know. It's a hell of a demand instantaneously that happens to you right then and fucking there. So God, let me put it this way. God hasn't appeared in front of me and done that to me. And I know he hasn't done it to Dr. Scott, because Dr. Scott tells us that he hasn't. And so I don't know anybody that he has done it to except the guys in the Old Testament. You know, and those guys were fucking pissed. A lot of those guys didn't like that shit. Abraham, it took him a fucking shitload of time to get to, you know, to cut to what God told him to do in the first place. The man's tendency is not to follow the directions that good. And so God was doing that in the Old Testament, though. He was standing up right in front of folks, man, and telling them exactly what's coming down the line. Now, so in these particular times, you know, he's a little bit more gentlemanly, and that's what I'm trying to get at. And God's a gentleman in that sense, you know. But then you've got this other thing where it doesn't seem like there's much room for being polite. And that is that you're either with him or against him. You see? Now, that doesn't sound too polite. That doesn't sound like, you know, like there's a lot of room in there. There's the room between you're either with him or against him is so fucking minuscule that, you know, I mean, that's it. You're either with him or you're against him. Now, you know, that's not a, I mean, that's if you stop and think about that, you're either with him or against him. If you're not with him, you're actually against him. That, I mean, you know, that's a severe situation you got going there. So the Jesus Seminar people and all the thrust that man can put into homogenizing Jesus into this acceptable character, you know, that you can be with or not with, because, you know, he's this cool guy running around saying all these cool things, and that's all he is a human being doing this. That's what the movement afoot is that man has inside of his entire body, is to make Christ that particular kind of entity that you can either accept or not accept. That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening at all. And so it's important to know that that's not what's happening.